Hello and welcome back to another video. Today we're working on the Audi. We're going to have a look at that brake pipe that we looked at in the last Audi video. Today we've got a variety of different noises. So we've got a lawnmower in the background. We'll probably have a train coming past moments in time. So let's ignore all of that and just get on with it. As you can see, I've got the wheel and the car jacked up already. And just because it's one of my videos, we've got wind as well, so that's going to be brilliant. So just like last time, I'm going to just take this carrier off, which will take the whole caliper off actually. That's our caliper off. I've just taken the disc off there just to give us a little bit more of a view. It's only a short bit of pipe, this one, but let's give that a little bit of a squirt of WD-40. Give it exactly 2 seconds for it to work its way in, and then we'll see about undoing that. The biggest problem with these is not if it rounds off at all. Sometimes it's just if it takes the brake pipe with it. In this case though, that's not a problem. So I'm using a proper flared sort of brake spanner here. So it's 11mm. I'm probably going to need a way of holding that before I brake. Before I get that off of there, let's get this connector off. I've managed to do that without gripping it too much, which is good. So we'll probably have brake fluid leaking out of here, so I ought to get some get a pad of some description down. One catch can later. We're going to have to bleed the whole system after we've done this anyway, so I'm not too worried about that. So let's just undo this here. There's our brake fluid dripping out. So as you can see there, this is it is starting to move a little bit, yeah. But as you can see, if I'm even in shot on the camera there, this isn't exactly loose on here. Well, it is starting to move, but this is irrelevant for us. But this is, if you're taking one of these off, that's something you've got to watch out for. Is potentially part of this rusting inside the between the flare and the pipe. I'm not too sure what you call that fitting, but your pipe fitting there, it's worth putting WD-40 on in a couple of days before. This is just starting to move. It is quite tight, as you can see. The problem is when they don't move. In actual fact, the end of it isn't moving. You can see it's corroded on the end there. and that's what causes these to twist, and you can buckle your brake line up. So anyway, let's see if we can make a new one of these up. So this is all the stuff we're going to need for making our new small piece of brake pipe here. Got some copper pipe here. We've got our flaring tool. This is actually made in England, which is nice. It's an SAE handheld FL29. Just got this off eBay, I think, or I certainly sent this to the link to my wife for my Christmas present. Just a mini tube cutting tool, and these are the bits that come with our brake tool or flaring tool to get the right flare on the end here. I always seem to pick really windy days. The other thing we're also going to need is, although I probably could reuse that fitting, but I'm not going to. We'll find something a bit more suitable than that though. So here's our, we've also got a new fitting here. Looks roughly about the same. There's a little bit of a shoulder on this one. Not too sure if that's needed or not. And of course we're going to need two of those. So first of all, let's get our brake line. So I'm just going to very roughly measure this out. We'll give ourselves a little bit extra. So if we give ourselves that little bit more extra just in case. So the trick with these is just to tighten it up so it's just touching the brake, or just touching the pipe, and then put a little bit of tension on it so it holds itself on there. We'll roll it around, tighten it up a little bit more, and we'll go around again, and just keep doing this until you've cut all the way through the pipe. Feel it getting looser each time you go around. Nearly through. There we have a fairly nice cut there. Might have to deburr that. Okay, so we're back in the confines of the shed now. I've had to do a bit of clearing up because I don't typically use this as a shed other than storing all of my junk. So as you just see, I just cut off this little bit of pipe. There is a little bit of a burr on the edge there. I don't know if you can see that. There isn't so much now, but all I used is a little screwdriver, little 4-cornered posi drive screwdriver. Anyway, I just stuck that in the end there, just give it a twist just to knock off any sharp edges that the cutter may have left. I've done the same with the other end as well. Now you can use a bit of string or wire to measure this out. I've just been lazy really and sort of rolled the whole thing out like so, and then giving it a bit extra plus a bit more at the end there. So I don't think it's this, the length isn't too critical on this, we just need to sort of bend it into the shape that we need afterwards. So first of all, so we need to install our pipe into the flaring tool there, hand tighten these 2 grip nuts down, and then we use this tool first. We actually screw that in, and what that does, that actually sets the distance for our pipe. It sets it correctly. So now we need to tighten these 2 10mm up, and that's what grips the pipe in for us. Okay, good. So now I need to undo this, and for that I'm going to use an adjustable spanner, because that is a 16mm and I do not have a 16mm. Okay, adjustable spanner acquired. So we'll just undo this here. Okay, so we can create 3 different types of flares with this tool. Now, looking at the end of this new fitting here, which of course you need to make sure that it's the correct one for your caliper here, and if I don't cross thread it, you'll see that that screws in nicely just there. We've got this hole here is for the bracket, as you see before. I have to say, it's not a terribly brilliant fit in there. Was that the same when that was going in? Yeah, it is about the same, although I don't think it's as good quality as the original. So this looks like it may well need this single flare as opposed to a DIN flare. I'm not entirely sure on that one. Let's see, let's have a read on. So the one thing it's worth doing is actually putting on your things before you actually do any flaring or bending. Try and make a good habit of it. Now, because we're flaring both ends, we need to insert these on this pipe so they're opposites. I mean, it's not a problem if you forget on a bit of pipe like this, but if you've done one end already, you definitely want to put these on before doing your next flare. So anyway, we've got some special grease. I don't know what's so special about it apart from it being red, but it says we need to dip our end in, which in this case is going to be the OP1, which I presume stands for Operation 1. See there. And then we start running that in to the tool. And then this is where we use our 16mm, or in my case the adjustable spanner, and we run that all the way in till it bottoms out. It's quite easy to turn this, so that's one part of the flare done. Undo that. it looks like we have our flare. Now I think that's all we need to do for this single type flare. I assume it needs to be rounded at the end as well as the front, just so as it can see better on the end of this here. So let's take that out and see. I assume that's what we need. Let me just double check. So that's all that says, is we just need to do that one operation with this type of flare that I believe we're after. So let's loosen that off and see what that looks like. Might need to take this all the way off. So as you can see there's our flare. Looks pretty good. Not bad for a first time, is it? Yeah, and I'm more happier with that style, I think. If I could just bring that in properly. Come on, focus. There we go. So as you can see there, I'm much more happier with that. As you can see, there's a bit of a concave edge in there, which meets up with this quite nicely, and we know that's going to seal on the other side in our caliper just here. I don't know if you can quite see that in the light. Not quite, but there is. You can see that it's quite. You can just about see it there. It's also concaved in there. So yeah, let's do the other side. Do not forget to put these on, otherwise you'll be swearing about it later. So again, we insert our pipe into our tool. I mean, ideally this should be straight, and this shouldn't be too difficult to straighten up by hand. So what we'll do, we'll just put that, we'll tighten these down a bit more before we go any further. Insert our pipe. Now we insert our tool. This just sets it home for us, so it's the right distance within the tool itself. Double checking that we've got both of our fittings on there. In actual fact, okay, so I just double checked. We've got two very slightly different fittings here, although they both fit. One actually fits better than the other. You can see that they are different sizes on the ends there, but the threads are the same, as is the thread's pitch. However, this one actually fits tighter than this one on both our caliper and actually on as part of the flexible brake pipe on the car. So yeah, we won't be using that. We will, however, use this one, and just make sure you install this onto your pipe as well, because that's the last thing that you want to do, is create a flare for it to for not having the fitting on the ends, because you can't put it on afterwards, obviously. So anyway, the pipe's gone in there loosely now, so we can still move that if we need to, and this is where we use our 16mm spanner. Tighten up our I'm going to call this a blank, just so really it's there. It's going to it just sets the position of the pipe to ensure that you get get the correct flare both done on both sides. Unscrew that, put a dab more grease on. I don't think it's really needed, but we'll put our OPC1 in there, and this is where we start to screw it up with our 16mm. So yeah, just wind that in. A little bit more difficult than the last one. Alright, so that's bottomed out fully now. We'll loosen that off. Loosen off our clamp. And we have another nice looking flare. And also the good news is I didn't mess up, and I put the fittings on the correct way round. I'm surprised about that, because I'm normally the donut that would do everything the wrong way, but there you go. So yeah, let's go back to the car. Okay, so because I'm an absolute expert at videography, I took a photograph instead of actually blooming filming me bending this, which is probably just as well because I didn't do a very good job of it. So what we're actually doing is we're going to fit the caliper back on. Clip on. Now I'm not going to tighten this right up, I'm just going to snug it up. It's pretty obvious that we've made this bend literally too long, and after throwing my tools everywhere, right, we're not tight, that's still loose as you can see. Let's see if we can work out how this goes on. So it would look to me that this obviously goes on to this bracket here. We need to make that bend a little bit more pronounced, I think. Maybe make it closer to the pipe would help. So my apologies, I bet you couldn't see a lot of that. If I just bring the camera around here, give you a better view of what I've done. It's not gone in too bad. I thought I might have made it a bit long, which it is probably a bit long to be honest, but it's more or less in there where it needs to be. Give you a view from the top. I should do a little bit better at tidying this up if I can. Everything's just in temporarily at the moment, not properly tying everything up yet, but for a first time I don't think that looks too bad. see there's plenty of space around it. Yeah, it's not the neatest of jobs, but as long as it doesn't leak, it doesn't matter. There's the bottom there, as you can see. It does look like it's touching in places, but that's just a trick of the camera. Got a nice sweeping bend round there and into the caliper itself. All these are done up now. Brackets back on. Our things back on for the brake pad's wear sensor even. Wire just runs around there, as you can see, not getting caught up in anything. Need to put this clip, put that back in its clip, which I'll probably need 2 hands for, to be honest. Oh no, we can just about get it in. So yeah, what I should do, I shall start bleeding this up, I think. Okay, so first of all, let's get this brake fluid topped up. It says .4 on the cap. We've got .4 brake fluid. So we'll fill this up. I suggest that it's probably empty, fully empty now. Now the important thing is, while we're doing our bleeding, we need to keep this topped up, otherwise you'll be back to square one if any air gets into the master cylinder. And also don't forget your clutch either, if you are running a hydraulic clutch on your car. So that's topped up. Let's put the lid on temporarily for the minute. So there's a few ways you can bleed a brake caliper in this case. You can gravity bleed it by opening the nipple and just letting it flow, or try and use a flared spanner if you can. If you can get a socket on there, get an 11mm socket on there if you want. That's come undone nicely. So I should connect up my fluid reservoir in this case. Now this is actually a vacuum bleeder. How this works, it connects to the air compressor, and it uses a Venturi effect to actually suck out the fluid. Now I'm just using it as a catch can at the moment, so we'll get that on there. That's quite a tight fitting. The trouble is, this is almost like a plastic, and rather than it being a rubber, so I suppose that's a good thing though. And now I can't get my spanner on there. Great. So I'll have to use a normal one. That's okay. We know we cracked it off, so we'll crack him off. Now, as I say, I'm using this purely as a catch can. Now, you can use this little bit of pipe and let it go into a container that's got brake fluid in there, because the idea is a lot of these will have, or if you buy a proper brake bleeder, they'll have a non-return valve on the end of it. This isn't the case. This drops straight into this bottle here. Now I'm doing it this way to show you guys that you can do it. If I was to cut this pipe and actually put that into a bottle of brake fluid, any air you push out will go into that bottle, and then on the upstroke of the pedal, any fluid that's still in here will will go back into the caliper, and you would obviously disperse more fluid than you would when the brake pedal returns. Ideally, it's sort of like a one-way pump, but there isn't actually a non-return valve on the system, because if you had a non-return valve, you will apply the brakes one time only, and that's it, that'll stay on. So a little bit of fluid does have to return to take the pressure off of the actual piston in the caliper there. So yeah, what we're going to do, it hasn't actually started flowing through. It's probably a little bit well, we've still got quite a bit of air in the system, to be fair, but this might not be letting too much air out. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to jump in, and I'm just going to give the pedal a couple of pumps. You guys can keep an eye on this pipe here for me. Okay, so I'm just going to press down the brake pedal. There's no resistance there. I'm going to let it return. I'm going to push again. Now of course you'll be able to see exactly what's going on, and I can't. I'm not going all the way down to the bottom with this brake pedal, because the last thing you want is for the master cylinder to go beyond where its normal travel is. Now I can feel that I'm now starting to get a bit of a brake pedal there. However, there is still I can still feel it drop as I apply, so I think I've pushed the air out. So let me go and have a look. Of course I wouldn't have pushed it out completely. We've got anything? No, it looks like something's happened there, doesn't it? Why didn't you guys say anything? So I'm just going to quickly top up the fluid again, because that has gone down a bit. Not gone down loads, but it's gone down a little bit nevertheless. So what I'm hoping to see is that pipe, that clear pipe, almost be completely full of fluid. That's the idea. Hopefully dispersing all of the air. Don't forget we've got the whole system that we need to bleed, including the ABS. So we'll probably have to do a fair bit of pumping yet and run a fair bit of fluid through the system. Now normally you would do the driver side first, but as the ABS pump is on the passenger side, it's obviously going to be better that we start from over there, because that's your closest exit point, so to speak, throughout the system, or should I say your shortest route. So let's see, looks like we're getting somewhere. Alright, let's top her up again. That's a little bit more like what I'm expecting. We've got our tube is completely full up. We've still got an air bubble that's trying to travel upwards. Give it another couple of pumps. I think it looks quite clear, so it looks like we've got, tell you what, if it's not for the trains, it's now flipping aeroplanes. Fantastic. Right, now that he's gone far enough away, we get a train go by. As I was saying, so we've got a little bit of air obviously still in the system. The fluid is quite clear now, so yeah, that we've got nice fresh fluid coming through. Now I dare say, as I push the pump down, if I pump that again, because there's a little bit of air built up here, but I think that's a lot of these air bubbles that are travelling upwards and obviously dispersing up here. Thankfully it doesn't look like it's going into here, but I may well use the vacuum side of this, because I have got one of them non-return valve style single person brake bleeders, but unfortunately it's several years old, and it's, to be honest, it's near enough knackered. I think it's getting on for about 20 years old. So yeah, the pipe's gone all hard and it's just pretty much useless. So give this another couple of pumps, and then I'll do all the other wheels. I shan't bore you with that, and then we'll see at the end how we get on. Brake pedal feels a lot better. Let's do this up and see how that feels. If I push the brake quite hard, oh, that feels like a good pedal actually. Now I'm going to try and press it quite hard on purpose, because I want to try and make sure there is no leaks on that new bit of pipe that I installed. So it doesn't feel like it's dropping at all. This is all looking really good, to be honest. Nice and dry there. nice and dry there. And importantly, our drip loop, nothing there either. Yeah, I'm very happy with that. So I'm going to run round now, get all 4 wheels done, get the clutch master cylinder done. You've no need to see that because it's basically the same as what I've been doing just there. So I'll come back to you when we're on to our next stage. So that's it for this one. Fairly simple job, more of a pain to try and get the bends right. Just got to remember to bleed the brakes, the clutch if you've got a hydraulic clutch. Yeah, so that's it for this one. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again in the next video.